All right, you guys, we're going to get started in about 10 seconds. And 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All right. Hey, this is Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson, everybody. And I want to say thank you for making time. Today is Labor Day as I go live. And if you're catching a replay, I want to say welcome to the replay. I wanted to share something today. But I just wasn't sure exactly what I was going to share. I didn't know, but I wanted to share something. Now, before I dive in, let's just be upfront. I'm going to share with you information that I would be willing to bet anyone who's listening you have never heard what I'm about to share with you about type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm only going to give you a snapshot of it today. Tomorrow, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you slides. I'm going to share the studies with you. That's going to blow your mind. But I am going to give you some good stuff. Now, everything that I'm going to share with you today is brought to you by our detox drop. And if it's Labor Day still and you're catching this, all you have to do is go to our website. Links are provided. You can get the detox drop. You can also get our refills, the 7-day Vita Blend, free shipping on Labor Day. All you got to do is use the discount coupon code Labor Day. Some of you have probably just recently done the detox drop. You're thinking, well, I don't really need it. Get it now. Save $10 plus take advantage of the discount if you're new to it, and then do it whenever you want to. Just have the supplements there, if you know what I'm saying, and then maximize. And we're also making some updates. They're not all done yet, but we're making some updates for the booklet. So once you get the detox drop, you'll be able to log into the website where you can access the detox drop and all of the information there that kind of guides you through it. Okay. Also, before I kind of dive into what I'm going to share with you, we have our virtual conference coming up, which is Food is Medicine. And what I'm going to do tomorrow is give you a snapshot of exactly what people are going to learn in our weekend virtual conference. Now, if you cannot be at the virtual conference live, let's say you're traveling, because I was talking to someone about that today. I go, you want to get it, because once you have access to it, you have access to it. And you can log in and you can watch it, you can read it, you can gather information. It'll always be there for you. And there's a lot of people who are constantly wanting to help other people, share information with other people, and they're guessing. And as I'll share with you today, and I'll definitely demonstrate tomorrow, it's time to end the guessing. You need to know. We live in a crazy, crazy, crazy world right now, and it's not going to get any simpler. And food is very important for optimizing energy, optimizing health. Now, later, quality of life, I mean, you name it. And with so many people who are living with type 2 diabetes, I mean, you're talking over 30 million Americans. That's 10% of Americans. When you look at how many people are pre-diabetic, it's over 90 million. And 80% of those people who are pre-diabetic don't even know it. They have no idea. Many times I'll have clients of mine that'll tell me, they'll say, you know, when I went to my friend's house, they felt a little lightheaded. Next thing you know, we go to the hospital. Boom, they have a hemoglobin A1C of 8.9. They're full-blown type 2 diabetic. They put them on metformin or some type of drug. They don't take it seriously, and it worsens. See, type 2 diabetes, you want to become, if you're going to become familiar with that and you want to reverse that, you want to understand fatty liver. You want to understand what kidney failure can look like. You want to understand not just glucose, which is where a big part of the problem is for most people. You want to understand the role of insulin, and not as it pertains to glucose, which is what I'm going to share tomorrow. Now, let me just ask you guys a question, and I want you to go with me. Okay, you guys stay with me. This is actually going to be, this is good. And if you're a coach, like I got, you know, there's Linda. Linda is a successful client who is now a coach. She is in training to help other people. Linda started at 249 pounds. She was taking medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, statins, some allergies, edema, and she's off all of that. She had a very high level of insulin resistance, and she doesn't have it. Now, here's what's interesting, and I'm glad you're here, Linda, because Linda had perfect, normal glucose levels. She had no signs of being a diabetic. None. Now, I have a few clients that are catching this live right now, and those few clients have been in the same situation as Linda, and out of nowhere, their fasting glucose went from, let's say, ranging from 93 to 99 to being over 150, 160, 170 overnight. It just so happens I was coaching them and we saw it go up. And they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? I'm eating right. I'm going to change the way I eat. So you eat better. And the glucose numbers didn't improve overnight. So overnight, they became a type 2 diabetic. But what comes before type 2 diabetes? It's called insulin resistance. Some people will get the glucose under control and never fix the insulin resistance. So just because you got the glucose under control doesn't mean you don't have insulin resistance. And insulin resistance can show up in high blood pressure. It can show up with migraines. It can show up with erectile dysfunction. It can show up with a whole host of metabolic conditions. We live in a world where people are so focused on the glucose that they have no inkling on the role of insulin resistance. Now, let me preface before let me ask the question, okay? And I want you guys to participate. Please, anyone who's catching this live, no matter where you are, I want you to participate. You know, if you're in a private group, your name won't even come up, but if you want me to know your name, once you make your statement or you give your answer, just put dash into your name so I can acknowledge you, right? Okay. There's a study that just came out, and this is the study I'm going to share tomorrow. So if you're catching the replay of this, you guys, just look at the date, and then the next time I go live or you see the next upload after this date, if you're catching a replay, will be where I'm going to share what I'm about to talk about. And it's this new study. And the study's fascinating because it's around glucose. So what they did in this study was they took whole fruit, apples, berries, and they had people consume whole fruit and berries. And all the people in the study wore a continuous glucose monitor. That's a monitor that no matter what they eat or don't eat, they can instantly see what their levels of glucose is. Okay. And so a lot of people get caught up in that because it's cool. And I think there's some benefits to it. But it's not the end all be all. But a lot of people think it is. It's not. Now, let me pause for a second because I'm sharing a lot of things and there's a lot of people going, wait a minute, what? But for those who don't know me and you don't know my work, we're evidence-based, clinically proven. That means everything is scientifically founded. We've done 2 evidence-based clinical trials, proving the outcomes of our methodology. Also, 92% of the people who are type 2 diabetic that are my client, and we're talking about a wide variety of people who are type 2 diabetic with the highest hemoglobin A1C of 16.7. That's the highest I've had as a client. I've had a whole bunch of people in the 15s, 14s, 13s, but 16.7 is the highest that I've had. I've had some coaches. I had one coach, I think was 16, had someone that was 16.9. Well, 9 out of 10 people who are a type 2 diabetic, no matter what their social economic background is, no matter what their ethnicity is, no matter what their weight is, we have been able to fully reverse it. Type 2 diabetes inside of 12 to 15 months. 12 to 15 months. You will never, at this moment in time, hear about any program that can reverse 92 out of 100 people living with type 2 diabetes, meaning they are no longer type 2 diabetic. So when I say what I'm sharing, I know this. And I can put you on the phone with people who have done it. Not 1 or 2, but a lot of them. So we're evidence-based, clinically proven. So no one can you can't argue what I'm sharing. So if you know anyone who's a type 2 diabetic and they're not taking advantage of our methodology and you know about it, then I would say shame on you. Seriously. Because unless they just don't want to. Some people don't want to. Some people just want to take their chances and just kind of go with it how they go with it. And again, they will measure their progress based on their glucose levels and have very little understanding about the role of insulin. Okay, so let's go back to what I was stating. In this study, they took a group of people. They all had glucose monitors on. They had them eat fruit. They had them eat apples, and they had them eat berries. And they looked at how much their glucose, their sugar in their blood went up. Then the next day, they took the same people, and instead of eating whole fruit, they had them eat blended fruit, right? Like a smoothie. Same amount of calories, same amount of everything. And then they looked at their glucose to see how far it goes up. Now, based on what I just said, you have people who eat real fruit as a whole, like a full apple, and then you have people who ate it blended, or like juiced. Okay, and I'll share the details of the study tomorrow. Which one would you assume is going to have the higher glucose response, the higher sugar after they consume it? Eating a whole fruit, like apple, berries, or eating it blended? Dun, 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 dun. Who knows the answer? I may give away a detox drop depending on who answers it. Who answers it correctly? Okay, and I'm going to wait. I will wait until people come and catch the replay. I will wait, and you know what? I'm going to look, because sometimes it doesn't come through the software that I'm using, and then the answers will pop up somewhere else. Okay, so thank you, Kimmy. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sandy. Sandy says blended will cause the higher blood sugar. Kimmy says blended will cause the higher blood sugar. Darlene says blended will cause the highest blood sugar. Okay, this is really good. And most experts, and tomorrow when I do my update, I'm going to share with you these other experts that are saying exactly what you guys are saying, right? They're saying blended, smoothie is blended. So I'm with you, Linda. Cheryl says blended. And all of you are wrong. All of you are wrong. And this is a randomized, double-blind, placebo, randomized controlled study. All of you are wrong. And somewhere in your mind, you're thinking, well, if it's blended, maybe it's pre-digested, that would probably get in a little bit faster and it's going to cause the blood sugar levels to go up. Nope. The study demonstrated that if you eat the whole fruit, now this is going to be, hear me on this, and some of you are my clients, so let's definitely talk about it, because where I'm going with this is going to blow your mind. And I'm going to show the study tomorrow. I'm going to show you. The study demonstrated when you eat the fruit as whole, whether it's the berries or the apple, the blood sugar levels went up higher. The blood sugar levels went up higher when you ate the whole fruit compared to blending it. Then Colleen says, I'm going to say no difference. Well, there was a difference. The people who ate, Colleen, that is okay. That's Wendy. What's up, Wendy? Okay. People who ate the whole fruit had higher blood sugar levels compared to blended. Now, with this information, many of you would go, oh, so it probably would be better to have a smoothie instead of eating the fruit. And I would say you're wrong. See, some of you know the answer, and what I'm about to share with you is going to wake you up, because you think you've heard me say this in the past. I had a conversation with one of our coaches, Amy Prine, this morning, and I was sharing with her the study. And once I share with her what I'm about to share with you, she was like, oh, you're right. See, in the past, you're thinking if you eat the fruit compared to drinking the fruit is better, and you're thinking sugar, but it ain't sugar, it's insulin. When you drink the fruit, your insulin levels go really high compared to if you eat the fruit. The total opposite when you're looking at the sugar. So now it comes down to what is more important to really be paying attention to: the sugar levels, which everybody's doing, and a lot of people sharing false information out there. Well, it's not false. They just don't know any better. They're not on top of it like me. I mean, we reverse type 2 diabetes consistently. You can't even argue with me. I can't even get someone to debate me because they don't have as many people that they don't have people like I do, that I've proven it. They don't have evidence-based clinical studies that where we proved it. We've proved it. I know they're wrong. I'm doing this post and the one tomorrow because it just drives me crazy when I see people spreading information that is wrong. You're focusing on glucose and sugar where the focus needs to be on insulin. Insulin is what comes before type 2 diabetes. Elevated insulin, hyperinsulinemia comes before blood pressure, high blood pressure. If you have hyperinsulinemia, high levels of insulin, and you have high triglycerides, you're doomed. Your days are numbered unless you reverse this. You have increased risk of cardiovascular like damage, stroke, heart attack. If your cholesterol is elevated and you have insulin resistance, you're a walking time bomb. Here's the sad part. Most of your doctors aren't even looking at your insulin. And most of them can't even explain insulin. They can't. They're my clients. And if you're hearing this for the first time, that's a prime example of, I want to curse sometimes, and I want to be a good, loving, I don't want to offend anybody. But sometimes I just want to say, I just want to curse. Maybe that's the Marine in me. And I feel like if I curse, I can get my point across more, but I realize that doesn't help me get the point across. It just will show maybe how he's passionate. Stop giving recommendations that you don't have real clarity on. Just stop it. Now, is glucose important to monitor? Absolutely. 100%. For a whole bunch of reasons. If you're a type 2 diabetic and you get your glucose numbers down, is that a good thing? Yes. But how are you doing it? Are you going keto? Okay. So let's go keto. Take away some important fruits and vegetables that we know helps repair leaky gut, which we know produces short-chain fatty acids, which then helps prevent or reduce the risk of you having cancer, colon cancer, breast cancer, just to get your glucose numbers down? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? You got people giving up this so they can get this number, and they're putting too much on the glucose because if I don't eat the fruits and vegetables and I cut back on the carbs and stay away from the rice, that's a lie. 92% of the people that I've helped reverse their type 2 diabetes, 92%, they ate rice, they ate fruit, they ate vegetables, they had grains, they learned how to eat them in the right combinations and amounts. An oncologist looks at our program and says, good job. This program makes sense. A cardiologist looks at the Diet for Your Life methodology and says, oh, good job. This makes sense. And then we have the evidence to back it up. Come on. Don't put all your money on glucose. Jeez. It's time to be informed. Someone asked me, they go, so why are you doing a virtual conference? You're going to give away a lot of things that make you unique. And I go, I don't want to hang on to anything. Jack LaLanne told me in his house, if you're excited about something, don't keep it a secret. I want people to be informed. That's why we have the virtual conference on food as medicine. Because there's a lot of wives out there that have diabetic husbands. They want to help them. There's a lot of husbands out there that have type 2 diabetic wives and they want to help them. There's a lot of families who want to like help people that they come in contact with. There's a bunch of nurses that don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to this, and it'd be good for them to become informed, because nurses do have the heart of a teacher and they don't have an ego. I mean, some of them may, but most nurses I meet are the kindest, nicest, lovingest people ever walking the planet. And they became a nurse because they really wanted to help people. From the time they were a kid, they wanted to be a nurse. Well, imagine giving someone the wrong information and you want to help them. And then you find out the truth. That is not a cool moment. That is not a cool moment. Now, I hope it was, if this was confusing, okay, if this was confusing at all, because there was a lot, don't miss when I break it down tomorrow, because I'm going to show you the studies on how I'm able to say what I just shared. I will show it to you. Any questions while we're on? Because there's got to be like, and I know. Cindy, you're probably going, man, I wish we had talked about this morning because I got some questions. And you're a really smart person, Cindy. And you're right. But I bet you could ask me a question right now. So remember, glucose is important, but knowing where your insulin levels are is more important. And learning how to eat in a way to optimize the balance of both your insulin, which is a hormone, and your glucose, which is sugar in the blood. We want to optimize both. Unfortunately, 98% of the world is focused on glucose. And then it's got to, again, I mean, I have 7 presentations I'm doing this week, 3 of them with big hospitals and insurance companies. And every time I do these presentations, it's new information for the people who are on the other side, representing the insurance companies as well as the hospitals, the clinics, etc. It's new to them. And they're like, wow, interesting. All they can do is say, wow, interesting. And that's not a knock on them. It's just that we have a solution. And the world just hasn't found out about it. Now we're working on that, and we're going to change that. We're going to change it. Okay, so let me see here. Someone made a comment, and if I don't mention your names, because you're probably in one of our private groups. Thanks for your heart to share your knowledge with the world. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Sandy says, so it is better to eat the whole fruit instead of making a smoothie. Yes. But Sandy, the reason I'm bringing it up is to point out how even this study that comes out, it focuses on glucose. And if you only look at glucose, you would just assume, it's better to go with a smoothie. But if you focus on insulin, it's better to go with the whole fruit. Now you're informed now. You could be talking to someone who did that study, and if they're thinking glucose, then they would say, no, it's better to blend it, because they're not aware of insulin. Is this making sense, you guys? They're not aware of insulin. Now, one of the people that I saw on the internet talking about this study, I really like this person. And so I sent him an email and I share with him the studies that took place in 1977 that contradicts everything that he's saying, so that he would be informed and stop spreading misinformation. Well, actually, he didn't. It's not misinformation. He shared correct information based on the study, but people would walk away from that study and they would think, oh, I'm going to make more smoothies and drink more and do more juicing. Insulin is where the focus is. Insulin is where the focus is. Now, Sandy just asked a great question. So on the detox, is it better to eat the fruit instead of putting it in the smoothie? No. It's because of the way the program is structured. So a smoothie, there's nothing wrong with a smoothie. You guys, you can do a smoothie. Now, I wouldn't do juicing personally because that's not as good as a smoothie. At least a smoothie, you can still get the seeds, the polyphenols, the antioxidants, right? When you have a juice, you're stripping it of all the dietary fiber. A smoothie, you're still getting the fiber and all that stuff. And it's not like we're doing smoothies that are out of balance. A lot of times when people consume a smoothie, they're not designed around our methodology to be a fat burning meal. And the way they're spacing their meals out, or the way we space the meals out when you're doing a detox, brings rhyme the reason for why we can do a smoothie. And nowhere in the detox drop are we having people do a smoothie for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're doing one smoothie a day if they choose to have a smoothie at lunch. Make sense? Okay. This was good. So what is the take home here? Well, the take home is glucose, sugar in the blood is important. Yes. What's the other take home? We want to get to a place where we could really optimize our insulin levels. Here's the negative. Where you have a glucose monitor, at this moment in time in 2023, there is no insulin monitor. So all we can do is a fasting insulin test when you go get your lab work. And then there's 3 things that we do with the Diet for Your Life methodology, to include our carb threshold score and the formulations that we come up with that. And then there's 2 other things that you can do. Actually, I'm going to end on this, you guys. I'll probably bring it up tomorrow, but since I kind of mentioned it, because this blew my mind. Because I can take your glucose numbers from your lab work with your triglycerides and your HDL cholesterol, and we can take it through a little formula to give us a pretty good indication on if you have insulin resistance as well. So for instance, if you take your triglycerides and divide them by your HDL, if that number is 1.5 or higher, you have some level of insulin resistance. Okay? Now, I've seen people, I think when I first did it with Linda, she was like 2.2. Since I talked about Linda when I first did her numbers, 2.2 or 2.4. So she definitely had insulin resistance. And at that time, her doctor wouldn't do her fasting insulin. Whereas now her doctor does her fasting insulin. So Linda's success has made it where her doctor's probably checking fasting insulin on a whole bunch of other people now. But they would have thought there was no need with Linda because she had really good fasting glucose and her hemoglobin A1C was normal. So they were like, why do we need to look at insulin? Which is a prime example of my point. They've been indoctrinated and trained to focus on glucose and sugar, same as cholesterol, instead of looking at insulin. That will change and is slowly changing. Now, if it's 1.5 or higher, that's not a good thing, right? Now, if it's 1.5 or higher, and let's say you have another metabolic challenge, let's say your triglycerides are high, or let's say you're on blood pressure meds, or your blood pressure's high, that's scary. Or your LDLs are high, and you have insulin resistance, now we have increased risk for cardiovascular events, heart attack, stroke. If you didn't have insulin resistance and your LDLs and cholesterol were high, nowhere near as bad or concerning. Here's what I wanted to share with you guys. I have a client who is a man. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, African American, and I hope that one day, as I help him really be successful, that we're able to share his story. And I want it'd be better for him to share it because I know we're gonna win. He's a great guy. He's extremely intelligent, knows a lot. So when he shared his numbers with me, and I did the thing with 1.5 or higher is insulin resistant. You guys want to take a guess what his number was? So remember, if 1.5 or higher is insulin resistance. What do you think his number was when I did his numbers? Just take a guess. Okay. Remember, 1.5 or higher is considered insulin resistance, right? Just one marker. So take a guess. I just need one person to guess. What do you think his was? Okay. And remember, he's 200 pounds, 6'1". He looks great. He's not overweight. Okay, Pam, thank you for throwing that. She says 3.2. Okay, 3.2 is up there. I mean, it's not renal failure. That's around 8 point something 9. But 3.2, so she doubled it. You guys ready for this? 18.9. 18.9. 18.9. And he said, is that bad? And I said, if you were my brother, I would ask you to get in the car and drive to my house. You're going to be with me for the next 3 months. 18.9. That's scary, you guys. I've never seen that. I have a dear friend whose husband is, stage 4 kidney problems like crazy, renal failure. And when I did his numbers, it was like 9.5. And I was like, whoa, 9.5. 18.9. Smart, educated, got money, handsome, intelligent, got the whole world ahead of him. And only in his 40s. So like I told him, I go, dude, I want to help you. I don't want a penny. Let's win. I want to see you thrive. And there's a whole bunch of people walking around, you guys. They have regular, normal looking triglycerides. They got normal looking cholesterol. They got normal looking glucose. And they have no idea. Why do you think sometimes you hear about someone you went to high school with died suddenly? This has been going on. This is not just based on vaccines and all that stuff. Heart attack, like what? You're like, huh? I just saw him on Facebook. Oh, I just saw him about 4 months ago at the mall. Oh, I heard that he got married recently. Oh, like I heard he just got a promotion. Oh, I just heard he sold his company. I mean, we all got to go. But when you can prevent it and you can optimize, because, you have a stroke and it don't go well, your quality of life just got interfered with. You know what I'm saying? Some people have a heart attack and they're scared to death. And the doctors put them on statin. They're like, okay, because they believe what the doctor told them, that this is going to save your life. Not knowing is probably more likely to be limiting the longevity of their life. And it's not my opinion, you guys. The data is clear. The data is clear. Man. And then you got all these people just sharing information they can't back it up at all. At least I can back up everything that I recommend and share. I can show you the studies. I can show where the thought comes from. And then I have a whole bunch of people that I've actually helped do it. And you can talk to them. You don't got to take my word for it. I just have been on this mission. And I'll share this with you guys because this is interesting. Someone asked me a question today. And they were like, Robert, I met you in 2007 and I was working on Food Lovers at the time. Well, I had completed around 2005. And they kind of watched me from a distance, right? My career and seeing how things have changed. And then I talked to another one of our new coaches, Claudia. And Claudia is awesome. And I hope you catch this, Claudia, because you're a light. And I'm so excited that you're becoming a coach now. I seriously am. So Claudia reaches out to me and we actually caught up today. And, she goes way back. And I went out to where she lives years ago and, met her family and just a good lady. And she knows a lot about supplements. We got her and we got another one named Sherry. I need to connect Sherry and Claudia because you guys, they both have spent years in supplement stores. And now they're both coaches, right? Which is really cool. And Claudia has watched from a distance how I've pivoted in certain things. Like she remembers when I did carb stepping. And I know some of you guys remember that too. And there's a whole story on that, which I need to one day really break it down, because we got to where we have the carb threshold score today. But the question that I was asked this morning was, like, is there a formula? Like, where did you get the mindset to approach it the way you're approaching it now? Because you were coaching like one of his friends who asked me this question a couple years ago, and you're sharing things now that I know that she's not aware of. I said, no, because I'm on it. He goes, but is there a formula? I says, well, I would say there's three things. Number one, I always question the evidence. That's number one. Number two, I challenge the assumptions constantly. So I question the evidence, and then once the evidence makes it past that point and it's assumed to be accurate, I challenge the assumptions. And then I reevaluate what is being concluded. And I do that to myself all the time. I do it to myself all the time. Like, I've been challenging myself on coconut oil. And right now, I don't have coconut oil in my house, even if it's extra virgin. I don't have because I'm looking at something else. I'm not looking at the oil per se. I'm looking at the process of how it gets into the container. And I have some concerns with that. And I'm challenging myself, right? So I'm challenging the assumption that it's okay. And then what I'm looking at as far as a conclusion, I'm reevaluating it. And I've done that with extra virgin olive oil, and that's the only oil that just keeps winning. Every time, extra virgin olive oil continues to be like thumb up. Yeah, it's interesting. And then I shared that I have a philosophy that I picked up from one of my clients who shared with me, someone who's a guru. And I'm going to get this lady's name in her book and share it with you guys. But in one of her philosophies, or something that she shares, is she says, lessons are repeated until learned. Lessons are repeated until learned. And I really believe that, right? Because there's things that have happened to some of you guys, right? You've lost weight, gained it back. Lessons are repeated until learned. You lost weight and then you gained it back. These lessons keep coming until you learn, right? So if Linda's correct and she says, I ain't never gained that weight back, then she's had multiple lessons and now she's finally learned it. And maybe that she has a tool, a way of eating that works, and that is what she was supposed to learn. So she's had many lessons, and those lessons keep coming, right? They continue to be repeated until learned. Someone who's drank a lot of alcohol, right? And they became alcoholic. They may have turned their life upside down, got in an accident, maybe had a DUI. Lessons are repeated until learned. Eventually, if they don't get killed or something extremely horrible happens, they will have that moment where they'll learn. I don't drink and drive. And they'll continue to have problems come to their life, challenges come to their life. Lessons are repeated until learned. I felt like I was preaching today. But tomorrow, I promise. So remember, if you don't catch me live tomorrow, when I share this study, because I want it to hit home. New study comes out. We're going to talk about glucose. Then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's insulin. And then the goal is to help reinforce the role of insulin in all of these metabolic conditions. And once if tomorrow could be the lesson, today could be the preamble, the setup. And then tomorrow it all comes together. Anyway, thank you guys. Please do me a favor. Go to our YouTube channel if you haven't. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. And when you hit the bell or click on that, you can click on the part that says notify you, like anytime there's something new, like all things. Because we're on our way to eventually being Monday through Friday, and then occasionally on Saturdays, which is going to be the schedule. And then I'm going to have some times where I actually will upload, and then occasionally I'll do lives, right? So I'll do lives because it's fun. Um, but a lot of things I'll just make sure to upload it. So when you go to the YouTube channel, that is on the homepage, and you don't have to click on live to see what was the most recent. So we're close. And then we'll also be spreading the word and getting ourselves set up in the next month or so, where we'll be on Spotify and all of the other channels as I used to be when it comes to people who listen to podcasts. So you could tell a friend, hey, check out his podcast. All right, you guys. All right. Well, again, take advantage of the free shipping if you haven't. But again, it's all there. Life is good. I am on day 4 of the detox drop. And like some of you who are, I think, are doing the detox, I feel great. You know what? I'm so happy that I did the detox drop and I'm doing it right now. I am so happy. And here's, because I have a goal. And here's my goal. By January 1st, I want to run 3 miles in under 18 minutes. I just want to do it one more time. After that, it's not going to be about the speed. I just want to do it one more time. The entire time I was in the Marine Corps, I never ran slower than 18 minutes. My fastest time was 15:37. And then I consistently could run 3 miles in less than 18 minutes. So the last time I ran 3 miles in less than 18 minutes was before the pandemic, about 6 months to a year before the pandemic. And then I didn't run it for a while. I was focusing on the 400. It's just something that is a challenge for me. But that's running a 6-minute mile for 3 miles. So I'm hoping I come in around 17:45. And I got it all planned out. And thank you if you have any people that you could recommend. Could I get people that recommend, chiropractors or different people? I've been doing this for a long time. And I have 2 really good master, gurus when it comes to kinesiology and training athletes that are very good, dear friends of mine. One has a couple PhDs with 2 parents who are physicians, so smart family, and he really knows his stuff. Another one has a master's in kinesiology and also works with UCLA and all. So I got some really good people helping me out. And the reason why I brought them in to help me is because my hamstrings, I have an imbalance in my legs. Like my quads are overpowering compared to my hamstrings. And so what happens when I start training, if I don't spend the time to keep my hamstrings in balance with my quads, I end up hurting my hamstring and then I'm out. And that could be, then you're struggling with just getting back to where I could run at a decent pace. So the goal is to go slow enough to where, as far as my training, I peak right at January 1st. So there you have it. All right, you guys. Thank you. I mean, I don't even know why I shared all that, but I'm excited about it. And that's pumping me up. And I was like, okay, you know what? The detox drop is now. Because, it was just time. And I'll do it again the last 7 days of September. And anyway, I'm pretty pumped about it. And the training has been going good. So I hope the same is happening for you guys. I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Let's all be better at what we're doing. Okay? We all have some time, and let's take advantage of the time that we do have. So stay the course. God bless. Until the next one, I'm Robert Ferguson. Peace.